Africa is not for sale. Africa is not for sale. Africa is not for sale. Africa is not for sale.
He got about $30,000 billion US dollars. And see what he ordered? He bought pass, sanitary pass.
You know who committed that crime? Who committed that crime?
Is our government.
Barbia must go in a nursing home.
Who are the people of Southern Cameroon? I thought Cameroon was one country.
No, Cameroon, that is, many people think that Cameroon is one country. That is not true.
Because the Bible, God was says, speak not into the ear of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your word.
Kabila is not Congolese. Kabila is a Tutsi, extremist Tutsi from Rwanda. Kabila used to be a bodyguard of Paul Kagame.
US President Barack Obama last week invited the leaders of some 50 African countries to Washington, D.C. to discuss matters of mutual importance. Many pundits believe this meeting was aimed at wooing back the continent from China. China is currently Africa's largest trading partner, surpassing the United States in 2009 and reaching a peak $198.5 billion in 2012. U.S. trade with Africa in the same period was only $99.8 billion. To the U.S., the meeting was a chance to entice Africa collectively as a trade, investment, and security partner. To the leaders of the 50 nations, many of which are suffering from various issues, it was a great chance to seek relief from a tested investment platform. To many ordinary Africans living in the U.S., it was a golden opportunity to confront their leaders and to pass on various messages. The protesters would, however, be disappointed. The security arrangements put in place by the US government during the summit left them with very limited, if any, access to their leaders. On August 5th, Mr. Obama met the leaders at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Washington, D.C. for the US-Africa Business Forum. Several groups of protesters arranged to line up the streets, but a stringent security layout put them in a little controlled spot along the route, hardly visible to any leader who happened to be whisked along. This, however, did not stop the group of protesters made up of frustrated nationals of several African countries. Their messages ranged from pleas to Mr. Obama not to feed tyrannical leaders to accusing him of trying to buy Africa. So security in the vicinity of the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, excellent. As a matter of fact, very tight, very difficult to maneuver, yet still kind of marked out, except for the fact, of course, that as the press, surprisingly, we had a really hard time trying to locate the protest, but we finally located the protest, which looks not too big of a protest, but all the same, one voice, they say, is loud enough to send a message to the leaders in Africa.
Ethiopia is not for sale. Ethiopia is not for sale. Nigeria is not for sale. Nigeria is not for sale. Kenya is not for sale. Kenya is not for sale.
We are here as part of the coalition, African Coalition for Social Justice, and we are here because there is a summit of USA and Africa. And regarding that, we are here as the protesters to protest against things going on in Africa that we don't share. And we don't even share the concept of that summit because we believe that a democratic country like the United States is not supposed to welcome bloody hands like dictators in Africa. And I can name people like Blaise Compaoré, people like Denis Sassou Nguesso, and people like Joseph Kabila, who are right now sitting and talking with Obama.
Yes, we are coming together, different countries from Africa, from the Republic Democratic of Congo, from Guinea, from Ghana, from Cameroon. We're just here just to join our effort to make sure that our voices are heard today. to what's going on in Africa right now.
Kabila is not Congolese. Kabila is a Tutsi, extremist Tutsi from Rwanda. Kabila used to be a bodyguard of Paul Kagame, but he was adopted by the deceased president, Laurent Desire Kabila.
Well, first of all, I got to tell God thank you, and tell God thank you for Obama for bringing these criminals from Africa to come here and talk to them. Because the Bible, God was says, speak not into the ear of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your word. So if these people do not know their left and their right, their own country, their own people, don't know how to treat them for their country to grow and become so. Look, we are rich, but yet we're poor. Africa in general, we are rich, but we're poor because corrupt officials destroy us.
The next day, our news team set off again to find the protesters who had publicized their intent to continue with their demonstrations as the leaders met again at the State Department. We ran into a group of Cameroonians protesting against President Paul Biya's long stay in power as we searched for the big protest.
Paul Biya finished our country. Paul Biya is a dictator. He's not different from Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi, all those presidents. 32 years is enough. Cameroon is down. We don't need Paul Biya. Paul Biya must stay here in the United States and go to the nursing home.
Paul Biya is against human rights. Paul Biya killing people in Cameroon, and Obama allow him to come here in the U.S. and acting like everything is good. Nothing is good in Cameroon. Paul Biya have to go. It's been 32 years and we are tired about it.
Paul Biya must go. Paul Biya must go in a nursing home. To the nursing home. Paul Biya must go so soon.
After a while, we were directed to the 23rd Street end of the State Department premises, where several groups had again converged to make their voices heard. Among the groups was another Cameroonian group. This time, they were protesting a totally different matter, one that is new to a lot of people.
The Southern Cameroon National Council is a pressure group organization that is fighting for the liberation of the people of Southern Cameroon.
Who are the people of Southern Cameroon? I thought Cameroon was one country.
No, Cameroon, that is, many people think that Cameroon is one country. That is not true. The English-speaking people of Cameroon, part of the Southern Cameroonians, have been subjected to annexation and colonialism, and we are struggling to extricate ourselves out of that annexation. Plebiscites were organized by the United Nations Organization in 1961. And that plebiscite, two fundamental questions were asked the people of Southern Cameroon. Do you wish to achieve independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon, or do you wish to achieve independence by joining the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Southern Cameroonians were shocked beyond measure that the third option was not included in the list. The third option would have been outright independence, achieving independence as a separate political entity.
Perhaps the loudest protest up to this point was that being staged by a group of Ghanaians referring to themselves as concerned citizens against their president John Dramani Mahama.
Basically, the demonstration is capitalizing on the opportunity in which the President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has come to the United States of America. We, the Ghanaians here in the United States, believe strongly that the leadership of the John Dramani Mahama is not up to par. He made so many promises when he was coming to power with his manifesto, Idibikeke, and also some other promises that he made. He did mention that Ghana is going to have a stable power supply, and the Dumso is going to be a thing of the past. So far, he has failed the people of Ghana, and he continues to make promises.
Basically, what I am seeing is that President Mahama is lacking, political will to govern Ghana, and that is the fundamental problem. A lot of things are going haywire, but he is not able to stand stamp his feet on the ground and crack the whip to make sure that things fall in line.
All the money, all the loans he be getting is useless. There's no infrastructure built going on in our country right now. He got about $30,000 billion US dollars. And see what he ordered? He bought pads, sanitary pads. For what? There's no investment in Ghana. We lost all our investors because the city is deflating.
Across the road, other small pockets of protesters were also going about their business.
This man's name is Judge Nebie Salifu. This guy openly was against the change on the constitution in Burkina Faso. And everybody know that. On May 24th, he got killed. And this guy got assassinated and nobody can know who did it. But we know this crime profit to somebody. Somebody benefit from this crime. That's why we're here to say any change on this constitution, we have to kill everybody in Burkina Faso before you kill it. That's why we're here to show this picture.
You know who committed that crime? Who committed that crime?
Is our government.
Not all the protesters were African. We also bumped into a group of Americans holding their own peculiar protest.
We still advocate today that the world, especially Africa, of course, given the situation in Africa and how long it has been underdeveloped, the world needs a new economic order where the priority is creating real physical economic development and not finance, not, right now the big banks essentially rule the world. A group of countries called the BRICS. I don't know if you've heard this. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They're talking about including Argentina, which is interesting because Argentina is involved in a big fight on this issue of we're not going to be debt slaves to these banks. We actually want to develop, and they've proved that they can. So these countries are now saying this international system doesn't work. We're going to create a new bank amongst ourselves. This is like more than half the world's population. And our priority is that we actually be able to develop, that we develop nuclear power if we want, that we develop space program if we want, fusion. The president of South Africa, Zuma, he recently said, that's the kind of economy we want in South Africa. He said we don't want dancing girls. We want, we want heavy machinery, space, nuclear power. This is what we want.
That evening, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan was billed to be the special guest at a dinner held in his honor at the Hyatt Hotel. The pressure groups Bring Back Our Girls NYC and Pathfinders Justice Initiative chose that time to remind the president that over 270 Nigerian girls remain kidnapped in Boko Haram camps.
Bring back our girls! Bring back our girls! Bring back our girls! Bring back our girls! 21! Present! 22! Present! 23! Present! 24! Present!
We are protesting the award of an award that's given to President Goodluck Jonathan by the Corporate Council for Africa today here at the Grand Hyatt, because we are outraged as Nigerians and people of good conscience and as friends of Nigerians that our government is here having dinner when over 300 Nigerian girls are missing. They've been missing for over 3 months. 11 parents have died as a result of this stress. We have 3 million displaced people in Nigeria as a result of Boko Haram-induced violence. We have refugees in all the neighboring West African countries. We have 10 million children out of school in Nigeria, and our government is celebrating. We should be mourning.
We were told on May 26th that the Nigerian government actually knew where the girls were, but to date, absolutely nothing apparent has been done to rescue them. And so we're standing here today because we understand that President Jonathan is inside inside the Hyatt, and we'd like him to know that no matter where he goes, we're here to serve as loyal citizens, to remind him of the oath that he took to protect life and liberty. We're not anti-government. In fact, we're for the government. We stand in solidarity with the government because we believe that ultimately that they too want to do the right thing.
All children matter. Often it seems that children of African descent are not looked for. No one cares about them. Even in domestic situations, Amber Alerts aren't issued for African children. So this is important. There are also boys that are missing. It doesn't matter if it's boys or girls. When children are involved, I think all adults should be out on the front line just like this.
Among the protesters were several high-profile dignitaries like Congresswoman Frederica Wilson.
I have a bill that I'm filing, and the bill addresses what the United States can do to force Nigeria to answer to its human rights violation. I have a bill urging the President of the United States as to what needs to happen. I've passed 2 resolutions already, and after I passed those 2 resolutions, I flew to Nigeria. I flew to Nigeria to meet with Mr. Goodluck Jonathan. He was not available. He didn't make himself available to the members of Congress. There were 4 of us who went. However, we met with the parents of those children. We met with the girls who escaped. And the pain and the agony in the faces of those children, and the pain and the agony in the faces of those parents, I will remember for the rest of my life.
Which we have to do. I want us to remember that while they're having dinner on the inside, we will stand here remembering and honor the words of the Nigerian National Anthem. The Nigerian National Anthem that promises a hope of the future for Nigeria that is great that we are yet to live up to. But it is not impossible, it is possible.
The US-Africa Summit finally came to what organizers would like to describe as a successful end. 50 African leaders held a historic meeting with US President Barack Obama.
It's been highly very successful. The most important thing is that there's a need for dialogue, there's a need for exchange of ideas. And for those of us from Africa, there's a need to convince the Americans that, you know, rather than spend time protesting about others investing in Africa, they have to get up and also come and invest in Africa.
I deliberately refuse to participate in any of these sessions. And the reason is very simple. What my brothers are doing here is more important than what is happening there. Here is the connection. The summit is, the president is inviting African heads of state, people who have suppressed the fundamental human rights of their people and their countries, and they're coming here to talk about what? Trade. Who is going to benefit from that trade?
On the sidelines, however, were protests galore, but these protests were almost muffled by stringent security arrangements and a somewhat covert resistance to these protests. Jacques MIANGO, who we spoke to earlier on, was later assaulted by bodyguards of DRC President Joseph Kabila outside his hotel in the full glare of the police. Most protesters, however, also claim victory in spite of all this, being as the world has heard their message through the magic of the media.
Kwesi Bakon, Sahara TV, Washington, D.C.